Alright, let's go.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, Bio, 55 months. Alright, so, we're gonna build a Vulcan, huh? Let's do it. What kind of joystick do you use for KSP? Logitech Extreme 3D Pro. Doesn't need to be complicated for Kerbal. You don't need like a HOTAS setup for it. It's the simplest Logitech joystick that you can find. Let's get some background music going too. I'm listening to the city's music. Do you prefer the joystick over the keyboard and mouse? Yes. You can make very, very slight corrections with the joystick. That's just something you can't do with the keyboard. Man, it's been a little while, huh? Forgot how long it takes Kerbal 1 to load up. A bit off topic, I was wondering why SpaceX is cutting up tanks at Boca. Those tanks are no good, Jim. I'm taking some ibuprofen, guys. I feel like I'm gonna puke. Staying up late in your 30s is not cool. In your 20s, it's easy to do. Not now. The Moonlander has a thruster problem, Jill, and it's probably not going to make it. From last, can you burn in KSP2 long-term when not focused on the craft? Not to my knowledge, Doom. So the lander is still operational, guys. It's just, it's leaking fuel. They probably have a sticky thruster, if I had to guess. Wait until your 40s. I'd rather not be reminded of that. Thank you. Alright, let's see if I have my old Vulcan loaded in here. This is what we were working on last time. Hey, this thing isn't bad. Does it? Yeah. Cool. The toroidal tanks ended up being a really good idea. Yeah, that's what we were working on last time. A capsule-shaped SSDO with a party hat on the top. That worked great? Yeah. Seemed to work okay. Why did I put a parachute up at the front? Yeah, I don't know. This thing is so strange. Reuse? Yeah, I guess, maybe. What region of the moon were they intending to land? Close side of the moon, older. Kind of the northeast corner of the close side of the moon. There's this one. MLV. Oh, yeah. That thing's a monster, dude. No, Brandy, they're leaking propellant. Guys, I gotta go use the restroom real quick. I'll be back in a moment. Yeah, when I get back, we'll start on a Vulcan build. Look at MLV while in the meantime. You guys like talking to the chair? Talk to the chair. All right. Let's roll. So we might need to start from scratch for a Vulcan build. I have a Vulcan build somewhere, I just don't know where it is. But it's very outdated, and we could probably... I'm not sure if we could use any of it per se, but... I'm looking through all my stuff for it. I don't see it. Are you going to do Vulcan Centaur or Aces? If you do Aces, we can do in-space reusability. I don't know. We'll see. The preview for Star Raker is huge. It's still one of my favorite rockets we've ever made in KSP. Does Vulcan usually have 2 boosters, or are the 6 versions depending on how much Delta V you need? Second one, 7. Vulcan can either launch with no SRBs, 2 SRBs, 4 SRBs, or 6 SRBs. You mentioned it. I wish we could get better frames, because this thing can work. We basically proved that it could do it. That Star Raker, man. That was one of the gnarliest builds we've ever done. Basically what happened with this thing is the same problem that happened in cities. We're just at the maximum for the hardware. It's really difficult to troubleshoot it. And because it's so difficult to troubleshoot the stupid thing, I can't really figure out what I need to fix. It's a majestic bird, but it's not ready for this world yet. Yep. No, Don. No. That's not a For All Mankind rocket. That thing just flies up into space. It just takes off like an airplane and right up into space. That's what it's supposed to do. What issue is it running into? There are some structural problems, Dean, with this thing. When you get into building complicated vehicles like this in KSP1, you really need to start taking into account how you put the vehicle together. It's not just stacking fuel tanks on rocket engines and adding more boosters. When you're doing something like this, when this thing is pushing as much thrust as it is out the back, like, you really, really, really have to be careful. Even throttling this thing up too fast can cause it to rip apart. Because it's so much thrust being pushed out the back. But you're also simultaneously balancing that. You build more structure into this thing, right? It won't, because it's an SSTO. This thing is supposed to fly into space. It's supposed to get up into space in one shot and then come right back down. This was an actual idea that was proposed by Rockwell, by the way. But I digress. When you're pushing this much thrust in Kerbal, it's always a balance between, you know, the amount of thrust that you need versus the amount of structure that you build in to make the thing heavier. That ends up making the thing heavier. I redid the thrust structure design, and I didn't get my estimations correctly. And so basically, when you put this thing out on the pad, it blows up because you throttle it. If you throttle it up too quickly, it'll explode. It'll break apart because it's just so much thrust being pushed out the back. Here, I'll show you real quick. Why did Star Raker flop? My project because of that. The real one because it ended up not being needed. Priorities change for the most part. Twitch in 4K. Go apply for beta. We want you in 4K. Okay. When this thing blows up, Dean, it blows up, dude. It's a pretty epic explosion. How much would it cost if it was real? Well, Starraker... I saw that, Zay. Somebody extrapolated from the telemetry. Okay. So Starraker probably would have been a pretty expensive vehicle to build, but the idea behind this is that you're flying to space pretty much every day because it's an airplane. No launch pad, no nothing like that. It's basically an airplane. So, here, hold on. Let me make sure the control surfaces are working. It broke. It broke already. What? Yep. It exploded. Something exploded. Didn't even like that. CPU usage. If it's Kerbal, one core should be absolutely at the maximum right now. Yeah, no, that's not good. Yep, see, no good. It's not a crash, it's just separating the threads on like a 1,000-part vehicle core. Can you import your creations into KSP2? There's no backwards compatibility, middle. Yeah. See, this is what I mean. Fellas, it's just like cities. Yeah, see, there you go. Yep. Didn't even get to engine start. What is that other building at the end of this runway? What mod did you use? That's Kerbal Constructs, Binnell? This was just me getting the flight control surfaces up and running. I didn't even start the engines. This is what I mean. Starraker has a critical structural problem with it, which really sucks because I did a lot of work on this thing to get it to not do that, and it still does that, which, oh well, what are you gonna do? See what I mean? This is why I stopped working on it, because for whatever reason the thing just like exploding, and I don't know what I did to make it do that. It's really difficult to watch though. That's probably about 400 or 500 hours. Well, maybe not 400 or 500 hours. I'd say maybe 100 hours up in smoke, quite literally. But yeah, that's why I stopped working on it, because I don't know what's wrong. I broke something. We have an anomaly. We need to secure the area? But this is what I like doing in Kerbal. I like pushing the limits. Dude, when the thing flies, it looks awesome. But yeah, there's some real problems with this thing. Ah, Don, it happens. It's just like the city, dude. We just pushed it to the point where I can't troubleshoot it anymore. It is what it is, man. Like, I'm not too worried about it. We got to see the thing fly. It made it into space once. But I kind of did this just because I could, right? And not for any other reason. I did it because I wanted to see if I wanted to test my design chops to see if I could make something like that. And we could. It's the game. that makes it not okay. That's a shame. A lot of development went into those engines. Those engines are really, really, really good. Yeah, I don't think I have my Vulcan rocket loaded in here. Yeah, whatever. Alright, new project. Yeah, Ducky, they were. Could you assemble it in space? That's not really the point of it, McConnell. The point of it is to get stuff up into space and assemble other things in space. Need to find a good use for those Shrubber engines, though. Is there no add-on to track or find issues like that? I don't... That's not really the game, Comwin, like breaking. That's my design. Not really, no. You kind of have to do it yourself. One of the biggest things I like about Kerbal 1 is it doesn't hold your hand. If it's blowing up, you got to figure out why. And I really, really appreciate that. Like, you have to sit there and watch the thing blow up. And then there's that. That thing's pretty rad. That's an older design, sir, but it checks out. Even if it leads to a breakdown in 1 year break from the game. Yeah, Hellfish, I'm not gonna lie. I probably could have done without that comment, but, you know, fuck off. Probably could have done without that. I really, really appreciate it. Asshole. I'll take my time out. We gotta look at those shoes. Oh, Wofford. They're real comfortable. Alright, so let's start getting some stack sizes here, some core stage sizes. If we're gonna do a Vulcan build, we gotta hey. Let's see. So, oh, nice picture. Any particular game or game update you're looking forward to? All of them came out over the last couple of weeks, Falk, at the end of the year. Like, we had the 4 Science update for KSP2 was fantastic. Cities, obviously. City Skylines is amazing. I'm really hoping they introduce some performance updates so we can get back to building out East Rock even more. Yeah, there's a lot of other good games coming around, too. I still haven't even touched Railroader. We haven't messed with Derail Valley, so we haven't really messed with trains much, but... yeah. Did you finish Science Mode already? No, Don, I didn't. I just... more and more, I find myself drawn back to KSP 1 because of the editor controls. Like, I can really... Here, when we go to build this, I'll show you what I mean. The editor controls in KSP allow you to kind of move around like this. And they also allow for precision movement. Something that probably could be modded into KSP, right? But... Have you ever played Children of a Dead Earth? No. I know what it is, though, Bino. Railroader is hyper addicting. Cool. Good, 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 good. I never actually thought of gaming as something to challenge yourself with, like with how I do it. Dean, I play games. When I play games, we play the snot out of them. Like, actually, before we get into that, I'll show you. When I play Kerbal, we build stuff like Star Raker. I always try to push the game to the limit. It's my favorite thing to do. Build stuff that no one is thinking about. Like, how about an SSTO like this? Right? Look at this thing. This thing basically launches vertically, flies up into space, comes back down and lands, right? It's a pretty awesome little build. Well, it ain't little, right? See, that's a pretty cool project in itself. And we never got to this point, but how's this for a challenge? Not only building this, right? But making it fully reusable. Making it fully reusable by building a pad and launch infrastructure to be able to reload payloads and launch it again. Doesn't work. I couldn't get it to work. That's what Hellfish was talking about. I worked on this project for 8 months every day, trying to get every single subsystem figured out, and then it blew up in my face, and I stopped. Yeah, I took a break and just played other things for a little while. Nah, Serge, that doesn't sound like something I'd play. And then, yeah, we build all kinds of cool stuff. Dude, I go ham in this. And this is what I mean. Like, if you see me play KSP, the reason why I push for better editor controls in KSP is so we can do crazy stuff like this. Here, let me introduce you to Derek. Derek's pretty cool. No. That one did blow up in my face too, Dean. Yeah. Tracked vehicle. Built in stock KSP. What happened to Derek 1? You don't want to know. We don't talk about that. Oh, that's... No, that's not the right one. Hold on a second. He's enjoying a treat, Derek. That's not the right one. You don't want that. I don't think I have Grissom's loaded up in this save, my cause. Where is it? Give me 1 second. Building out all the different systems is really, really tough. Here, there we go. Oh yeah. This is my favorite. How about that, huh? You started watching the stream at the tail end of the Grissom era. Those were good times, Admiral. Have you built Pathfinder for all mankind? No. So this thing is designed to work basically synonymous in function with the real space shuttle. I took what the real space shuttle actually does and fudged it in KSP to make this thing work exactly like the real one does. This thing flies like the real one, it launches like the real one, in space operations work exactly like the real one. It was extremely difficult and took a good bit of time. It doesn't look like much, but yeah. Right down to the tile thermal protection system. I'm using panels as tiles to flex heat. Yep. Works pretty much as close as you're going to get to the real one without using a fluid dynamic simulation. Yeah, Admiral, it's that's what I built it. I built it to be basically peak stock KSP. Can you give me a little explanation on the body flap of the shuttle? Does it function like a normal flap, deploying just for landing, or is it more like a normal control surface? The body flap on the space shuttle is there for a couple of reasons. It works as a flap. But it works as a flap not for like approach and landing, like a flap like on a regular plane, okay? It's there to shim out differential payload mass and also work as a speed brake in conjunction with the actual speed brake. So you can deploy the flap down, right? And then you can open up the speed brake and get the shuttle to slow down because you have something braking on the top and the bottom that just gets the thing. You can hit the brakes with the shuttle if you need to, right? The other thing it's there for, like I said, is shimming out cargo. Sometimes the shuttle sometimes the shuttle lands with payloads in different spots. That's there to make sure that the shuttle, that deploys out the back to make sure that the shuttle doesn't have too much pitch up moment. Because with a delta wing design, with a straight delta wing design like the shuttle, if you bring the nose up, it's really easy because of the center of mass bias towards the back, because you have 3 Mack trucks worth of engines sitting out back. It's really easy to get into a pilot-induced oscillation and get the shuttle to flip over. That never happened, but it's possible, right? So that's there to shim that out, just in case. It keeps the nose of the shuttle down in approach and landing situations, if needed. Because once again, remember, you can carry... The shuttle's designed to carry whatever inside of the payload bay for liftoff and landing. It has 25 metric ton up mass and 12 ton down mass. But those 12 tons you can put pretty much anywhere in the bay. The flap is there to shim it out, to make sure that the nose doesn't come up, make sure that the nose doesn't come up. Simultaneously, the speed brake is used if you have an airlock up at the front. The speed brake is used to keep the nose up, just in case. Now, the other use of the body flap is to make sure the engines don't get destroyed by re-entry heating on the way down. Yep, that's the other use. Can you show what you mean with the editor? I'm showing you right now, Liam. See what I'm doing right here with the camera? You cannot do that in KSP2. This is one of the functions that I need. I need to be able to move the camera focus point wherever it needs to go. This allows for precision editing, so I can get in here and precisely place all these struts. Every single one of these struts is there for a reason and does a different thing. They aren't just there willy-nilly. Delta wing. Yeah, the wing is a triangle. It's a straight delta wing. The shuttle needs that for a number of reasons. Most of it is to be able to land on the runway. Why can't you do that in KSP2? That seems fundamental to the game. Yeah, you can kind of do it. The editor in KSP2, the camera is locked on a central axis, so you can only do this. Camera can only move on one axis. You can't move left to right, and you can't move up or down like this. I really just need these camera controls, and that's pretty much the only thing at this point that's preventing me from building something like this. That's kind of the reason why I stopped playing science, not stop playing, why you're gonna get to the point, dude, one of the missions in science mode is land 200 tons on the surface of Minmus. Can I do that? Abso-freaking-lutely. But without the precise editor controls, right, it's basically, My thing is that it's basically forcing a particular type of gameplay. You can't go and build it. You can't go and build something like the shuttle. Like you could, right? But the imprecision in the editor, like the fact that I can't place struts exactly where I want, I can't place them in symmetry, I can't space them incrementally, right? That makes it, that basically is adding crazy margin of error to your design. So it's more likely that something is going to go wrong, right? Think about, like, if I tried to go down to the hardware store and started making rockets with a hammer and a screwdriver.
Go at throttle up.
Instead of like a precision CNC machine. Could you do it? Yeah, sure. Is something likely to explode? Yes. And I'm not particularly fond of that it's forcing that style of gameplay. The whole, you know, oh, we might make it, we might not. No, I don't like that. When I do missions in Kerbal, I don't like failing. I will maximize my time in the editor to make sure that that doesn't happen. Sometimes it still does. No, Yarg, we need those editor controls. I've been bugging them about it. Hopefully I'm being enough of a squeaky wheel. But yeah, the other thing in KSP that you can do here, let me just go to a new craft file. So, like, say I wanted to build an airplane, right? And say I needed stuff to be precisely spaced apart. In Kerbal 2, right now, basically you place the part and then you can, like, move it like this, right? And you have local snap, right? So it'll move in increments for you, right? And that's all fine and dandy. But in Kerbal 1, you have something called absolute snap. Absolute snap is snapping to a world grid, right? So here, I'll show you. Let me place this part again, all right? Let me place it again. Now watch what happens when I switch to absolute. Watch, ready? Did you see how the part moved when I started to click and drag to move it? Now this thing is locked in to the world grid. So, if I wanted to make something with equal spacing, right? This absolute snap basically eliminates any guesswork, right? If I wanted this to be completely lined up with the central point of the cockpit, right? So we snap the cockpit to absolute, and then we snap these to absolute. Now, the pivot point on the cockpit is completely aligned with the pivot point on the I-beam. See what I'm talking about? Now, say I wanted to go and place an I-beam that's the same amount of spacing off the edge from here. So with absolute, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Let's just say 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, I don't have absolute snap. So if I did this with local, right? See, my increments are off. See what I'm talking about? So you just have to eyeball it and hope it's right. I don't like doing that. Particularly from teaching about how engineering works. I don't like, you don't guess with engineering like that. If I wanted to be precise, and I wanted another set of beams out here to be perfectly spaced from this, so like have this perfectly spaced to that perfectly spaced to that, absolute snap will click it into position. So ready, watch. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, that was 5 because I moved it 1 too far in. But now, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now these are perfectly spaced. They are exactly aligned. That right there, you don't have in KSP2. And don't get me wrong, this isn't a deal-breaking feature. I'm not saying like, I'm never going to play this, it sucks. No. That's not what I'm saying. If you added this, you could enable users to make way more complicated, cooler builds, right? This allows me to do very precise movement, right? What is your background education? Are you an engineer? No, McBur, I'm not an engineer. I'm a 3D artist by trade. But that's what enables me to make some of these builds, being a 3D artist. And yeah, I'm self-taught when it comes to engineering. I just, yeah, it's just a hobby of mine, I guess. I tell people I'm not an engineer, but I play one on Twitch. That allows us to do precise builds like Star Raker, like the SSTO. that allows me to basically engineer out an entire model of Space Station Freedom in the editor and know that when I go to assemble it up in space with my space shuttle, that it's going to work. How did you get in engineering? M-rated, I love 3D art, and I love doing 3D art, but I found that when I was in school doing 3D art, and we did CAD system work too, that I always wanted everything to be super precise. I didn't like guesswork, and you do have guesswork with 3D art because it's art. It doesn't have to be precise. I understand there's a yin and yang between creativity there and, you know, engineering, right? I get it. But also at the same time, I always liked spaceflight, and I just kind of realized that after school. So I found a way to do it. Informally, but I found a way to do it, you know, without going back to school to get an engineering degree. Like I said, I'm not an engineer. I just play one on Twitch. But, see, math eliminates guesswork, which is why I like engineering. Engineering is very... You have clarity with engineering because, once again, the numbers will explain everything for you. Snow. There shouldn't be much guesswork here. I mean, don't get me wrong. With aerodynamics, because of Navier-Stokes equations, you're always going to have a little bit of guesswork. There's always guesswork, which is why you need to make prototypes, etc., etc. Why you don't know if, like, an airplane design is going to work right off the bat. That's why you need to do wind tunnel testing and then flight prototypes, etc., etc. But I like the engineering because it eliminates guesswork. In Kerbal, because, you know, partially because of, like, the precision editor controls, other reasons for, like, how the docking port logic works, it's very easy. Like, the thing about KSP1 is that it is, if you don't quick save and quick load, the continuity of your simulation is very, very precise. As long as you don't time warp, quick save and quick load. So I basically figured out a super realistic way to play the game, as long as you don't quick save and quick load. So you have to do all your engineering down on the ground, and then you go to launch it and hope you get it right. Hey, I'm rated. Welcome to Mission Control. Your go at throttle up. Thank you. I just like the way that, I like the precise controls. With the precise controls, we can actually do engineering in it, and it's not just, oh, I put this rocket together, I hope it works. With precise editor controls, like I said, you can make tracked vehicles. That in robotics, too. Robotic parts help. Yeah, my cause. If money were no object, would you go back and get an engineering degree? Yes. Like with the precise controls, I can make anything. Trucks. If anybody here has served in the military, Hemet with the articulating cherry picker bed, so you can load and unload pallets. I use it for moving spacecraft payloads around. Yep. In Kerbal 1, guys, how I played was I built out all the ground infrastructure for most of the vehicles that I was using. I built my own VAB. I built my own cranes to put it all together and make everything work. Not bad, right? If we could paint parts, I could make this look a lot better. But painting parts is something that I think the KSP2 editor has going over the KSP1 editor. We built all kinds of stuff. If you know what this is, then you know.
Discovery.
What else we got in here? There's a lot of good stuff floating around. Gunny, 38 months. If you know, then you know. Yep. It's the TRSR2. Yep, that's what that was. This isn't even all this stuff, guys. This is not even close to what we've done. Here, how about this one? Usable cargo bay. The back opens up. The entire tail of the plane opens up, and you can load cargo into the back. It's supposed to be more akin to a C-17. And the thing is, like that truck that I showed you, I could drive that truck up, dock it inside of it, and because my cargo bay is made out of a hollow fairing, it'll occlude it. So I could park stuff in the cargo bay of this, and it actually occludes it. This isn't even scratching the surface of all the stuff. This is some of the tiny stuff. Yeah, this doesn't have much. What's CTS-5HLV? I think this is SLS. Oh, yeah, basically, for the most part. It's got a little more chooch than SLS does. The Condor project was amazing. Yep, my cause. Yep. Do you think in KSP2 they'll add procedural cargo bays? Don't know. What was the most complex creation in KSP for you? That's a good question. I don't know. Nimbus Refinery was a tough one. Happy New Year, Rick. The last shuttle we did was complicated. I would probably say the SSTO. The LV-5B1 with the pad, that was the most complicated because that was an insane amount of engineering. Yeah, we had Collins dialed in. That was an amazing build. This one was very difficult to make. Getting the mass margins right on something this big. Looks like an aerodynamic whale. This was based off of a real project called Venture Star. But the crazy part about it was not just making that thing take off and land and get back down in one piece. But like I said, building the launch pad for it. Building the launch pad for it and reintegrating it. Basically, the SSTO could land on the runway. And then I'd have a tow vehicle, push it back up this ramp, and then this box that has the EJ logo on it can actually turn 90 degrees. I use the robotics and hydraulics in the game to make it pivot, and it could re-snap the vehicle in. We load new payload in, turn the thing vertical, and then I have a fuel farm that could I have a fuel farm where you could refuel the dang thing. The problem is the load. I-beams and stuff in this game are really, really strong. Getting to hold up 2,400 tons of launch vehicle, really, Kerbal doesn't like that. I misjudged my load specifications on this. That's why it doesn't work, because it breaks everything. It's too heavy. So we started going back through with the other launch pad. I have a subscale version of this called 5A instead of 5B. 5B is a smaller version. I started going through and making optimizations to the miniature model to get it to work right, but yeah. Yeah, this is a small sat launcher SSTO. It has a tiny little payload bay, right? And you can launch a tiny little satellite inside of it. See? It's got a little sat launcher in there, and you could plop out little CubeSats. But this thing actually worked. This one worked just fine. But getting the pad So parts wear in KSP, believe it or not. They don't, well, they don't wear out particularly. They bend. They bend and flex. If you've ever crashed something in KSP1, stuff bends out of shape. Like your crashed vehicle will bend, like if a car crumpling against it, like in a wall in a crash test, right? Yeah, I couldn't get this stuff to not wear out. But yeah, that was that project. This is the kind of stuff I want to do in KSP2, but we really can't. You know what I mean? Without it starts with the precise editor controls. Here, I'll show you another vehicle. Let's go over to the VAB. Any chance we can get you to make a mini shuttle along with Vulcan like Dart 2.0? Maybe. Not even with hybrid tech. We need to get the hybrid tech to be more precise, Pigzig. The problem is that the game misses it. The game can sometimes miss a tick in the physics with high part counts, and the hybrid tech can bend because it misses a tick. So finding a way around that is particularly difficult. But we can. I mean, we can do it. Yeah, I'm not really sure how. Did you ever get your hybrid tech working on your Falcon 9-like vehicle? MLV. Yeah, it works. Nice worm hat. Thank you. I'll show you. Do you think Vulcan would be a good fit for the last mission mode you did with CTS 5? It's possible. I'll show you. Check this out, fellas. All right, ready? This is what I build. This is what I do. Yeah. See what I'm talking about? I just need some precise editor controls. We can do this in KSP2 all day. That's why I'm really pushing for it. That's why I make it a thing to mention it pretty much every time. Yeah, I saw us coming down near the fuel tank, so I let it down quick. That's why the landing pads aren't near the fuel tanks. Are you able to land this without losing the second stage? Watch. I don't have the flight profile for this thing completely figured out, to be 100% honest with you. So no guarantees on landing the stage, but we got 18 tons of payload mass simulator up there.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, Yusuf. 39 months. Thanks, buddy. Does Kraken Tech work in KSP2? Docking and undocking monoprop breaks things in KSP2 from last time I checked. The game doesn't understand the hierarchies, and that's another thing that has me kind of super worried, because docking two things together can make the game explode. But then again, that was a thing in KSP1 as well. All right, watch. Ready? Okay. Pressure's looking good. Everything's looking good. Throttling back for maximum dynamic pressure. Vehicle's transonic. Pitching over. Everything's looking good here. Okay, throttling up the engines. 2 Gs of acceleration. Rates look good. It's gonna be close. Okay, Miko. Separation. Upper stage ignition. Shoot. Okay, that's all right. Okay, upper stage is looking good. All right, switching back to the first stage, flipping the stage over. Safing the outer engines here. Stand by for boost back. We have good relight. Boost back burn has begun. They're leaking fuel out of the Peregrine lander pins, if that's what you're asking. Boost back burn is complete. Reorienting the vehicle. Activating our flight control or aerodynamic control surfaces. ACS is on. I don't think we have enough fuel. I don't have the trajectory completely dialed in on this thing just yet. Okay, cool. Temporarily switch back to the second stage. First stage is just gonna coast for a second. I might need to, like I said, I never dialed in the trajectory for this thing, but stand by for PLF jettison. PLF jettison confirmed. First stage is just coasting. Oh, but no, it's absolutely possible. Yep. As long as nothing goes below 25. This is the other thing that I would really, really, really want in KSP 2. The ability to just coast another vehicle. Alright, 110 by 81. Good orbit insertion. Switch back to the first stage. Now the fun part. Once again, I don't think I have enough to land. What I'll do, guys, just so I can show you, is I'll turn on infinite fuel. In fact, I know I don't have enough to land. We need over 1,000 to do a hover slam correctly. I'll just turn on infinite prop here for a moment. And we'll go from there. Okay, we have acquisition of signal on the landing zone. Okay, we're a little ways off. Stand by for an entry burn. Shut down. Oops. I made it go too much, just a little bit. I'll get it back, I swear. We're getting a little spicy there, that's all. Ground altimeter is on. Landing burn. Landing legs deploy. See? Totally possible. Once again, I just don't have the trajectory figured out with this. I burned the first stage a little bit too long. We would not have had enough fuel to land. But, see what I mean? We need to be able to do this kind of stuff in KSP. You need to be able to bounce between vehicles. KSP 2, when it just something gets far enough apart, the game just eats it. Now, I don't know if I'm pretty sure the devs have something planned in mind, but yeah, that's something that we're really going to need if we want to do stuff like this. Simultaneously, I don't think that the devs would add something like grid fins into the game if they weren't planning on doing something like that. You know what I mean? You wouldn't add grid fins if you didn't plan on doing that. Thanks, Hornet. Yeah, see? And get it back. You guys want to see something crazier? The way I designed this vehicle, now we did roast the docking port up at the top. I blew it up during stage separation because we didn't get a good sep. Because I didn't activate the push rods to separate the stage. That's probably the reason. Yep. If the docking port was intact, this thing has all the provisions to be able to be latched up to a new pad, put on a new launch pedestal, and launched again. It's reusable. I ended up never building out the launch systems for it, but see these thermometers right here? That's a pilot dowel, so I can attach a new upper stage with a crane. We could take a crane, lift the stage up, put it on top, put the fairing on top of that with the payload in it on a launch pad and launch it again. You'd have to build the pad, but yeah. Yeah, Bandit, they have a leaky thruster from what I can tell. They have a leak in their system. They're hemorrhaging propellant. Yuki, hey, so I got one of my Kerbal stranded on the moon after my first landing there. Is it worthwhile possible to send a tin can plus tuna can pods to get to the moon? Undock tuna can, pick up stranded Kerbal, get back and go home? You tell me. You have a trip planner. You have your Delta V indicator. Build it so it's good enough to do that, sure. What, you used a thermometer as a coupling? No, not as a coupling, Titus. A singular docking port ends up being a coupler in this design. Here, let me recover this. I'll show you. A singular docking port is the coupler. Those are pilot dowels. Basically a guide so I can attach a new upper stage to this. Once upon a time, guys, and see, here's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And I'm not saying that KSP 2 has to be like this, but once upon a time, I built out entire launch complexes in reused vehicles. Here, let me show you. Like a mate-demate device, so I could lift shuttles off the top of my 747s to do approach and landing tests. Do stuff like build out a Falcon 9 style launch pad, land the first stage, reintegrate it back to its strong back, and build it again. What else? Yeah, here, take a look. This is what I do. This is what I was doing in KSP 1. Which is what I like to do in KSP1. I like building out the entire infrastructure. It's the best way to learn. Where's that one? Yep, there you go. Yeah, I agree. I build launch complexes. That's what I do. See? With that particular rocket, Freedom 7, I built an entire VAB for the thing. Yep. With a crane that could pick up the fairing and build the launch vehicle on my own pad outside of the VAB. Yep. All I would do is need to just put the first stages on trucks, tow them out there, and go. That's DART. That's the little mini shuttle that I built for it. See? Even DART. I built all the brackets to be able to pick it up, put it on the pad. That was a launch abort test that did not go right. Yeah, see, there's the crane. And then the crane was on landing gear and it could pick itself up and we could attach a towing vehicle to it and move it. Yep, see, there's DART on top of a vehicle. See? This is the kind of stuff I do. Yeah, see, here we go, picking up the first stage. This is the kind of stuff I like to do. Let me put it to you like that. Here's DART doing re-entry and landing tests. I could build DART better nowadays. Yeah, see, and then I added a crew access platform as well. So, Kerbals could get in. See? Even had launch gantry platforms to be able to have Kerbals get inside of the vehicle. Yep. Oh yeah. I would love to start doing this again because we can't really do it in KSP2. This is something that takes a lot of time and a lot of commitment. There's a lot of engineering streams that go behind this. So it's not a lot of flying and it's a ton of time inside of the SPH, but it's pretty good, right? Yeah, yeah, see? Look, all the structures move out of the way. See that? It's hard to do, man. Yep, there's Freedom 7 putting DART in space after spacecraft separation. It was hard to do. And then, oh yeah, I built out recovery helicopters too to go and pick it up in case we landed in the drink. DARTs were reusable, fully reusable, if you could get it back to the landing site. Getting it back to the landing site kind of was a little complicated. But yeah, I built out heavy lift helicopters, and yeah, that wasn't without a lot of despair. This was a hard project to do. A lot of trials and tribulations there. Yep. You're insane, the good kind. Yep, and there's the gantry platforms folding down to get out of the way so we could release the vehicle for launch. It's a cargo bob, something like that. Yeah, years, Mossy. Yeah, these projects sometimes took a long time. Yep, there's a transport vehicle for DART. There's us pulling a stage to crown the stage that way. There goes another one. This was me experimenting with bringing these things back with parachutes because they were light enough to. And then because of the flag packs, I have a numbers flag pack, so I had serial numbers on all my stuff. Everything was serialized. Stages, darts, upper stages. See what I mean? That's what I do in KSP. See what I mean? You just don't you don't get this with KSP2 right now. You can't do precision engineering. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that they won't add it to the game. I don't want people to get disdain for KSP2 because of this. No. It's not sometimes a question of whether you can, but whether you should. Yeah. Yeah, I even had crew transport vehicles. Space station modules. Oh, I'd like to remind everybody, this was all done in career mode. Career science mode in KSP. A custom science mode, albeit with the parts that I needed to build the launch pad. With no reverting. Ever. Ever. No reverts. Remember, reverting can screw up the continuity of the simulation. Get you a different result. No, I'm... Yeah, and done pretty much in stock KSP. Yep.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, Brox, 62 months. Thank you very much. That was another project. Well, that one. Yeah, it didn't end well. That was another launch escape test for Dart. Look, the stages that are back down there, see them? We got those stages back. I built a vehicle to be able to pick them up, put them back down on the trailer, so we could bring them, so we could use the crane to pick it up and put it vertical. Yeah, that was Dart before it killed frickin' Jeb. Dude, I had like hangars with these things. We made hangars in Freedom 10. Yeah, that was a good rocket. I scaled it up. I built a bigger one. And then I built a bigger upper stage for it. And then we used the Kerbal builder outside to attach numbers to this, just to give them marks to show how many flights they did. Yep, there's my storage and processing facility for Dart right there. See, it's a hangar. Dude, oh yeah, there was a reusability project. The cigarette. That thing was sick, man. Do you have that save? The mission mode save is still around somewhere. That was a rocket that we made with backward-facing jet engines. And it uses a toroidal wing to land like an airplane on the way back. One of the strangest things we've ever made. When Vulcan plus Dart. I mean, we could do it. Yep, there's my transport trucks. But it works. It does work. I'm not sure how well it would work in real life, but it does work. Yep, reusable darts, reusable stages. Yeah. Just in case you were wondering what stuff I do. This is how I work in KSP. This is the kind of stuff I enjoy. And the results are pretty cool. They pretty much speak for themselves, I think. I did suggest combining Vulcan and Susie earlier. Yeah, I saw it. I don't know. Do you guys want to commit to doing another project like this? I'm not sure if my engineering chops are up to snuff to be able to do something like mission mode again. Not at least initially. We still have a Dart on orbit. So. We'd have to sit here and play around for a little bit. But we could probably do it. The one that got away from me, though, is building a reusable shuttle pad. I'm still not sure that Kerbal would be able to handle something like that. I would like to see the ET-derived transfer vehicle one day. Yeah. Maybe we should bring it down. No. Nah, it can stay there. How late are you streaming these days? My new school term started and I'm all out of whack. I usually... Why don't you guys tell me this thing was acting up? I usually stop at like 10 p.m. nowadays, but sometimes I go further. I'm on a pretty conservative streaming schedule right now. Thanks, drummer. Ease into it. Design things like the last shuttle where the provisions are built in for a full pad design. Yeah. I'm wondering if I could still fly the dang thing. The shuttle, that is. You ever thought of asking GPT for a tough mission to play around with in KSP 1? No, I am the GPT. I make my own missions. It's always been the case. I'll figure out something difficult to do, don't worry. I don't need the GPT. I am the GPT. I am the one who knocks. I am not in danger. I am the danger. I don't like arbitrary challenges, guys, like, 100 tons to Eve or 200 tons to Minmus. That doesn't do anything for me. I could get that done in 5 minutes, to be honest with you. That stuff stopped being fun like 8 years ago. You need to refresh a new Minmus refinery design. Huh. I'm wondering if this is the right craft file. No, it's not. It's absolutely not the right one. That was a testing prototype. Let's see, is this the right one? That's the right one. Were you ever interested in SSTO challenges? Kind of. I mean, the SSTO challenge is like building a fully reusable SSTO. That was kind of a big one for me, yeah. C master stack untested. Did you ever fully recover the 2 SRBs? The 2 SRBs, the asymmetric separation proves that to be a little bit difficult. Yeah, Michael, she's a beast. Have you done something like what they're planning with Starship? In-orbit refueling, flying out to other planets? Yeah, Vexed. I did something like that in 2015, 2016. Something like that. Only my stuff didn't go up into space. my starships stayed up on orbit. It was something more akin to a transfer vehicle than it was like Starship. Could I do something like Starship? Yeah. The only real difficult thing would be getting a stock payload bay to work correctly. Did you ever do anything like the current mission going on the slow burn to X planet? Slow burn to X planet. I don't know what that means. Have you made the Enterprise CV6 in KSP? I made aircraft carriers before, Clayton. Yeah, in other saves. I made an angled deck carrier one time that was based off of the Midway, USS Midway, and I landed planes on it. Oh yeah, cranes. Duck, duck for what? Yeah. Let's see. Let's see if the Chunguska works. The launch that happened last night was a slow burn to the moon. Have you ever done that in KSP? No. Zombie, I don't favor low energy transfers like that because low energy transfers, I mean, we could do the transfer and then go and do something else. That's how I used to do things. You know, I would never time warp. I don't like time warping. Because NASA doesn't just launch something and then do nothing until like a Mars lander gets to Mars. There's other things that are going on. So I would do that in the background, dude, but yeah. How many hours in KSP, dude? Oh, I don't know. 20,000 maybe? See? Cranes and stuff, man. We're going too fast, believe it or not, for moving something with payload around like this, but... Alright, let's see if she works. Ready? pull this all the way back. Yep, see, it works. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, crane still does its thing. I just need a string or something, but yeah, that's cool. Did we cover the Peregrine Lander issue? Yeah. It sucks, man. It sounds like a bad thruster. I've played Polybridge, Veronica, yeah. Yeah, I played Polybridge. When I play Polybridge, though, I don't try to play the game the way the game is meant to be played. I try to build the strongest bridge with the budget that I have. Yeah, I don't try to build the least amount, the cheapest bridge, right? I try to build the strongest bridge with the allotted money. Yeah, which I know is like the opposite of how most people play that game. But yeah, that's my way of playing it. I do play Polybridge from time to time. Like whenever a new Polybridge comes out, I usually play. Hey, Rocket. The Vulcan launch was awesome. Yes, it was. Oh yeah, Polybridge is amazing, Dean. Yeah, it's a great game. Really, really simple concept, but very, very, very cool. Yeah, I play games at EJ difficulty. Can they send the craft back to Earth? Pins, they can send it back this way. It'll burn up in the atmosphere. It's designed to land on the moon, not on Earth. Yep. Here, you guys want to see one of the weirder things we've made? Check this out. Oh, Vulcan Centaur. We'll get to the Vulcan build in a second, guys. I just kind of have to remember how to do this. I haven't played Kerbal 1 in a pretty good while. Pretty much since July. And if we're going to, like I said, if we're going to get back into a crazy project like this, I'm in. It's, once again, it's going to take a while. But, yeah. We could do it. I could absolutely do it. Yeah, the gumdrop, the SERV, that was the last project we worked on in KSP. Why are you in KSP Run? You've already reached the peak. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? UFOs, man. It was aliens. Aliens! Aliens! It's the Glock! Shh! We don't talk about that. Pretty cool, huh? You guys want to go fast? I want to go fast. Why'd you make a flying can? Well, one, it's cool. Two, well, I'll show you. It does that. Nah, I guess we didn't need those. Hold on a second. I think I left my car keys down there. I think I forgot my keys. This is with no cheats in the game, by the way. I do have infinite propellant on, but we don't need that. That was a Class 6 maneuver, Navigator. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, soda can. And just make your Cygnus, not need Antares. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Carolina, yeah, you understand. It's still the keg to us. Yeah, yeah. 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 Is Cygnus still flying on Falcon 9? It will. Yeah. How's this working, though? Magnets. Magnetohydrodynamic repulsion. Now, that's the drive right there. Hit the brakes. Hit the brakes. The ground's coming up pretty fast. It's basically works on the same principles as like an Epstein drive from The Expanse. So we did brachistochrone trajectories in Kerbal with these drives. We call them Kraken drives. They, once again, I do have infinite fuel and infinite prop on, but you don't need those to make this thing work. No, Solomon Epstein, True Trigger. It's from The Expanse. Yeah, it can hover. It's basically a drive from Star Wars, man, minus the hyperspace. Yeah, I did a whole thing with this. We did a whole grand tour. Hey, Rain. There we go. Sproink. Pretty cool, huh? Water, fire, air, and dirt. Frickin' magnets. How do they work? That was a Class 6 maneuver navigator. Maybe, drummer. Have you checked the game Nuclears? The game suits you. Nope. I've actually never heard of it. Can this thing shoot a concentrated beam of electromagnetic waves? No. What about Vulcan, but with that propulsion? Boink. Well, the thing is, yeah, you remember we were talking about building those transfer vehicles a second ago? Yeah, I put that in the back of one. Yeah. Compliance. Will this thing ruin my credit cards if I get too close? Yes. Yes, it will. Don't bring a computer near it either. It'll get upset. Let's see. Let me see if I have the design in here for those ships. They should be in here. I don't see why they wouldn't be. Oh yeah. Yeah. This thing. Nah. Yeah, this thing. Yeah. Yeah. This isn't that. But this is cool. I have designs for all these ships somewhere. Yep, they're around. Somewhere. I forget if this thing actually works. The last time we used it, it launched itself into space. Think like the manhole cover that they put on top of the nuke and they shot that thing into space. Yeah, that. Meaning it broke. Let's see. Did they actually put a manhole cover on a nuke and launch it? They actually drilled a hole in the ground, Dean. They put a nuke inside of it and then put a manhole cover on top of it and then blew the nuke up. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This thing is completely broken. But it is a set of chopsticks for Starship. We're testing to see if you could catch the thing. Yeah, that's right, Noah. Yeah, and Jim, yeah, you guys got it right. All right. Come on, baby. Come on. You know, a lot of people are asking me, will SpaceX really be able to catch the booster? Like, could they do it? I don't see why not. It worked in Kerbal Space Program. It must work in real life. Yeah, but Rain, the way I'm looking at it is that SpaceX didn't just build Mechazilla and say, "Oh, we'll figure out the shearing force later." That's not how you build something, right? If you're gonna build a vehicle that's designed to go like off-roading, for instance, you don't start with a Prius and be like, "Oh yeah, we'll figure out the off-roading thing later." That doesn't really sound like what SpaceX would do. You know. So, yeah, just food for thought. Why catch it instead of land it all the way? SpaceX wants to do this with their rockets so they can put them right back on the launch pad, Dean. Because right now, Falcon 9 lands on the pad, you got to have a crane lift it up, you got to fold its legs up, you got to turn it sideways with another crane, put it on a truck, bring it over to a processing facility, right? Inspect the thing, bring that back over to an integration building, put it on the launcher, put the upper stage on, roll it back to the pad, turn it upright to launch again. SpaceX is aiming with Starship to eliminate that entire production cycle, or that entire cycle. That's what they're trying to do. Basically, if you catch the booster and place it right back down on the pad, all you got to do is just roll up another Starship and boop, good to go. Where does the EJSA name come from? Eric Johnson Space Administration, man. Eric Johnson was my nickname in college, bud. So I ended up using it as a funny handle because it's funny. Why not just land it on top of the pad? Doing that precise of a landing would be a little bit difficult, I'd say. That was my nickname in college, Apollo. Sure. Yeah, my real name is John Erickson. No, it's not. Happy Leif Erikson Day! How'd you know, Hammernails? Yeah, baby. That thing is cool. You got sources? Oh, I bet you do. They've not tested any sort of load? Oh. You forgot about the ball bags. Oh, they have done load testing. They've done load testing. The bags, the ball bags. Look. They've done load testing. They tried picking that thing up fast. That's 400 tons of water. The ball bags. What the hell else are you gonna call that? Hydrodynamic water mass simulator? It's a freaking ball bag. Like, what does that look like to you? What does that look like to you? I'm serious. It looks fantastic. Oh my god. You don't know how many times when they did this, I had to explain it to people. People were like, what is that? I'm like, it's a bag full of water, okay? And finally I just said, you know what? Whatever, man. Whatever. Just call them ball bags. I don't care. Yeah, so, Rain, they filled those up with water. And they filled them up with water and basically started moving the chopsticks up and down pretty fast. Because that's going to put the same... my guess is that would put the same type of shearing load on it as sudden load exertion from landing that booster on it. That's 400 tons that they were just like... Boop, 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 boop. Turn your head and cough. Turn your head and cough. You know what I mean? So, I'm guessing they have it figured out. I think really at this point your bottleneck is, you know, actually getting the booster there to set itself down. I think. I'm pretty sure. Because of the ball bags. Yeah. Ball bags. The Super Heavy Conical Rocket Orbital Test Platform. Scrot. Oh, God, no. No. That's not... that link isn't loading, Forge. Oh, I see what you did. Oh, that's... classy. Classy, bud. Yeah. All right. It's a pair of blue moon ball. I'm going to take a piss again, okay? Then we'll get into this Vulcan build. I'm not doing this. I'm not talk to the chair, okay? Talk to the chair. I gotta go pee. I gotta take a wicked yes. All right. Let's get going.
Why am I out of focus? I look like something in a crime drama where you can't hear my voice. It's purposely being obstructed. Yeah, and then the rocket launched and it was a very traumatizing event. It would be like teaching math to a dog. The numbers, Mason. What do they mean? What do the numbers mean, Mason? What do they mean?
You sound like the pug.
Oh, you idiots! You've lost. I've won. You don't matter. In fact, a couple more minutes, you're not even gonna be matter.
Anyway. I'm back. Hey. Sorry, it's something in my throat.
Give me water with sugar.
Was that your auntie? Oh, you know y'all look alike.
Oh, you sorry little ingrates.
Said, we got a bug. Please, not green, not green. Oh, yeah, that was on Final Jeopardy last night. What is this? Ooh. Nope. Nope. All right. Let's go new. Give me 1 second. That's right.
We're not hosting an intergalactic kegger down here.
Okay. So, first thing we got to do is scale this thing into KSP. Right? Alright, I haven't built in a little while.
Chat, we have to build.
I haven't done this in a bit. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is scale our diameter to KSP. KSP usually operates in terms of part size. It's operating on a 60% scale and change. Okay, so we're going to need to take 18 feet or 5.4 meters and scale that correctly to the proper core diameter in KSP. So 5.4 times 0.62 gives me a 3.348 core diameter. Okay, how do we do that in KSP? Well, we have measurements. We have sizes of our vehicle here. So 3.348. We can figure out basically the tank wall size here by doing a trick. So how wide is this thing, for instance? These things are, I'm pretty sure they're 15 centimeters wide. Yeah, see? Well, 16 centimeters. So that's 1.6 meters, right? So if I take one of these things and we put it in 3 times symmetry, right? 3.3 is our core diameter. So we're at 3.9. Move them in. 3.6, 3.4. That's 3.2. Right? We need 3.34. We can round up to 3.4 just to make it easy, right? To make this nice and simple, right? Repeating, of course. So there's our core diameter. Now, do we have tanks that are close to that? The closest tanks would be the 375 tanks in KSP. That would be the closest one. Those are too wide to get our core diameter exactly right. I mean, there's a 3.7. They're close. We could get away with them if we really wanted to. If we wanted to do that, we could get away with it. We could. Can you do tweak scale? I don't do tweak scale, Snooze. I don't do that. Core diameter 3.348 m. Let's round to straight 3.36 for KSP. That'll be good enough. We could go right to 3.7. Like, if you really wanted to, we could do that. I'm not sure how accurate it's going to look, but we could. Now, let's get something else here. We have the GEM 63XLs. We need to find the diameter of those. The diameter of the 63XL is 1.6. Ooh, 1.6 meters. So 1.61 times 0.62 gives you about a 1 meter diameter. Yeah. Do we have one? I don't think we have 1 meter parts, if I'm remembering correctly. We have 0.625, right? And then the next size up is a 1.25 SRB. We could do it. We could if we wanted to, we could just take some slight liberties with this, and we could switch it up to 3.7 and 1.25. The proportions, as long as the SRBs are scaled proportionately to the core stage, i.e. instead of a 1 meter SRB, we have a 1.2 SRB, and instead of a 3.5 meter core stage, we have a 3.7 meter core stage. I think those are both close enough to get it right. Yeah, I think that's almost proportionately scaling. It's close enough, right? So we'll use 3.7 meter tanks. No problem. We don't need to make a custom core diameter using a fairing, which is fine. That's okay. Sweet. Easy peasy. So let's think about this. The length on a GEM 63 is 22 meters. So 22 times 0.62. Actually, yeah, we can make that work. 13.64. All right, what's the closest one we have to 13 meters long? How long is that one? That's a 9 meter booster. How long is the kickback? 16. And we're looking for 13.64. These proportions aren't going to work. It's not going to look right, dudes. What about a Pollux? The Pollux is a 1.8 meter booster, though. No. I'm trying to think, and forgive me, I'm just, yeah, I feel like poo-poo today, so the math is escaping me. So 0.65 scale will give you 3.25. 0.7 scale gives you 3.5. Nope. Okay. 0.75 is the scale that more or less we're looking for. So 1.61 times 0.75 would give me a 1.2 SRB core diameter, and then 22 times 0.75 gets you 16.5. Good. Good enough. If we want to use it, we got to build it at 0.75 scale, which means our Vulcan isn't going to be scaled correctly to anything else that I build in KSP, but it'll be a lot easier to make it. I don't know, JDG. I don't have the answer for you. Rain, everything that I do is scaled off of the shuttle cockpit. The shuttle cockpit is 0.62 scale, so whoever modeled that, Port Jet, I got it right from him. Everything else is scaled around that. Yeah, no problem. I don't know if I'm cool with doing that, guys. But then again, making the SRBs correct would be very, very difficult. Getting the SRBs to be right. Hey, first flight. There you go. Because, Snooze, once you start using tweak scale, people start not recognizing what the heck you're doing because they can't recognize the parts that you're using because they're not the right scale. To the vanilla parts. I build in vanilla. That's what I do. Hello. Damn. Does Vulcan use autogenous pressurization? You tell me. You're gonna say yes? Why? Yeah, that Vulcan shot. Who took this picture, Rain? Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's TLPN. Yeah, that's Joe. I've met that guy before, I think. Good dude. Why not get that in animated form? Headphone users. Yeah, it's pretty good, right? It's pretty good. That's pretty good. Cool. Yeah, that's also, yeah, that was a good shot. All right, now I'm just, yeah, it does use autogenous pressurization. Yeah, see the pneumatic lines? Dead giveaway. See these lines going up the side? Those are the AP lines. Internal downcomer, external pressurization lines, from what I can tell. Yeah, I saw it, Rain. Yeah, we saw it when it comes out. When it came out, it sucks. But what are you gonna do? Did Vulcan underperform? No, it was perfect. Perfect. Vulcan can have up to 6 SRBs. Yep. Now, what I'm doing here, guys, is I'm just thinking about how this is all going to get put together. I'm basically assembling it in my brain in for how we're going to do it in KSP. I need to get core stage length here, to be honest, though. I'd need to find those dimensions. The gray part right there. I need to see that. I'm not sure how long that thing is. Just this part right here. That looks like 2 tanks. It is 2 tanks. One's a methane tank and the other's an oxygen tank. Mm-hmm. Here. Let's see if we can find some shots of them putting it together. See if we can get some dimensions here. There's them painting the booster. Tory talk. Yeah, this'll do. It's 5 meter wide and 33.3 long. Where'd you get that from, man? Just wondering. Here's a stir welder. Oh, it's from their website. Here, let's check that. Let me look here. Astrobotics update again? Was this recent? We received the first image from Peregrine in space. The camera utilizes the mount atop a payload deck that shows the multi-layer insulation in the foreground. Oh, that's cool. At least they're getting telemetry from it. Where's the core stage? Come on. There's 3 more tweets.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, Norath, 11-month resub. Let's see. Oh, okay. The disturbance of the MLI is the first visual clue that aligns with our telemetry data pointing to a propulsion systems anomaly. Nonetheless, the spacecraft's battery is now fully charged, and we are using Peregrine's existing power to perform as many payload spacecraft operations as possible. At this time, the majority of our Peregrine mission team has been awake and working diligently for more than 24 hours. We ask you for your patience as we reassess the incoming data. Guys, patience. I got all the time in the world. That sucks. But hey, they'll learn.
Discovery,
They'll
go
get
at
better.
throttle up.
Norath and Tipsy, 51 months. The MLI is all broken. Yeah. They have a propellant leak. Something went wrong. I thought it was a leaky thruster, but cool. This is actually super useful. All right. Oh, look. Payload adapters. Cool. Well, there's our fairing diameter. That should be easy to get. Wow, this is actually super detailed. Yeah, Vulcan can do a 2-stack satellite load like that. That's really cool. Similar to Ariane 5. Yeah, Centaur has an aft equipment shelf for CubeSat launchers. There you go. That's cool. There's Vandenberg, yeah. Here, let's see if we can get an overview up here. I may have scrolled by it. Towerful, what did you get? This has an overview? Alright, cool. I saw the link. Thank you. Look at the cutaway poster download. Okay. Man, that's crazy. The double stack. That's really cool. See, this gets us an approximate. It's about 125 feet to the top of the payload attachment fitting. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Yep, yep. These are... it's close enough. All right, so the bottom of the tank is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. It's about 40 feet to the tank, to the common bulkhead, to the CBH, where the SRB attachment point is. Okay. 40 feet. All right. 40 divided by 3.3 is 12 meters times 0.75. 9 meters long for each tank section. Okay. What's 9 meter? How long is that? That's 8.6. Ah, yes. Yes. Okay. What about you? Why are the engines bigger on the right upper stage? Nozzle extensions. Nozzle extensions for better performance if needed. It's the same thing as the stubby module, or the stubby nozzle on Falcon 9. That 40 feet included the engines. No, it didn't. I'm just trying to get tank diameter, or tank lengths here. So the length of the natural gas tank and the length of the oxidizer tank, give or take. So here, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. It's about, give or take, 40 feet. Convert that to meters. That's about 12 meters. And then scale that to KSP gives you 9 meters, give or take. And that, 2 of these tanks stacked on top of each other, is 9 meters. Now, I know what people are going to say. Well, why don't you use this tank? That's the same thing. Well, this has crap sticking out of the side, and I don't like crap sticking out of the side because that's not supposed to be there. Trust me, it'll make it look weird. We'll use these. For crying out loud, I'm still getting tumbling rockets in KSP. Skill issue. Skill issue. All right, so that's going to give us our approximate, right? Now let's go here. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. They're pretty much the same sizes. So that more or less gives us the core stage with the tankage. I'd have to put in the piece that looks like the structural CBH there. What's the CBH? CBH is a common bulkhead, guys, so it's number 20 on here. Number 20 is common bulkhead. Basically is a way to save mass in rocket designs. Why do you save mass? Well, how does it save mass? Well, you make the top of one tank the bottom of the other. That way, you don't need 2 bulkheads in there. Now, there are some case scenarios where you wouldn't use a common bulkhead. Let's take a look at like a Delta 4 common booster core. Delta 4 CBCs use an intertank design. So if you look at a Delta 4 booster, view the image, zoom in on this thing. Delta 4 has the hydrogen tank here and the oxygen tank here with a spread area in between. There's no common bulkhead there. That uses, the opposite of a common bulkhead is an intertank, where you have a structural piece, basically just a cylinder of metal that holds the 2 tanks together, right? Now, why? Why, if intertanks are more mass, why would you use them in the first place? Can anybody think? Think of why? I mean, Rocket Guy, you knew. So when you have liquid natural gas, LNG, and liquid oxygen, the temperatures are close enough to each other that you can have a bulkhead here. Hydrogen and oxygen's temperatures, liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen temperatures are too far apart. They're too different from each other, long story short. So Delta 4, because it's using hydrogen, keeps the tanks separated. Because in this particular case, right, your liquid oxygen, despite being like minus 200 C, would heat up your liquid hydrogen, which is even colder than that. Crazy, right? So Delta 4 uses a separated tank. Vulcan Centaur, because you have LNG in the first stage, you don't need to worry about that problem. So they don't have to keep them separated. So Vulcan's using a CBH, common bulkhead. CBHs are structurally, very, very structurally integral parts. These usually are built up really, they're like built up using stronger materials. Not stronger materials, they're built up using thicker versions of the same material. And in this particular case, the common bulkhead is a structural point, and that's where a ULA attaches the boosters to. They attach it to the CBH because that's one of the strongest parts. That's one of the strongest parts of the entire core stage, aside from, the thrust structure down here at the bottom. Were those bulkheads invented from Saturn V? Saturn V was one of the first ones to utilize a common bulkhead design, but Centaur uses a CBH. Now, the interesting thing, guys, want to hear something weird? Centaur uses hydrolocks and it uses a CBH, unlike Delta. Anybody know why? Who really knows their stuff? Pressure? That has something to do with it, MK. Centaurs are made out of stainless steel. Stainless steel can handle the pressure differential, or the temperature differential, a lot better. Now, don't get me wrong, there are common bulkhead hydrolocks stages, like the Saturn V S2 and the Saturn V S4B. That's when you're basically sacrificing Delta V for performance. And the Saturn V needed to brute force that thing up there. But you had to basically put a lot of insulation on your CBH in this particular case. And even then, your boil off is going to happen a lot faster. But since the Saturn V is like one and done, brute force that thing up into space, it's not that big of a deal. If you want something that's designed to coast for long periods of time, that's where Centaur has an advantage. Because it's made out of stainless steel. And it's a balloon tank. The stainless can handle that temperature differential better than aluminum can. Pretty cool, huh? That's why Vulcan has that common bulkhead. And why rockets like Delta have an inner tank. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't do a common bulkhead with hydrogen. You need to change the material. But that also doesn't mean that you can't do an aluminum common bulkhead with hydrolocks. It can be done. You're just going to heat up your hydrogen and the stage won't be able to last as long. You won't be able to loiter up on orbit for longer periods of time because of the common bulkhead. So you traded mass for mission duration there in that particular case. Can I ask what balloon tanks are? Can I ask why balloon tanks are a lot more expensive? They're not necessarily more expensive, Seacracken. They're harder to make. And balloon tanks really have... Dude, the thing about balloon tanks is that they can only really... you can only have so much on top. With the engines pushing on the bottom and the payload pushing down on the top when you're accelerating, you can only put so much mass up there before you're really going to have some issues. Because balloon tank. There's only so much you can squeeze a balloon before it pops. So you have load. That's kind of a downside of using a balloon tank. You have load problems. You're going to have load problems. So that's, for instance, if we take a look at like Atlas V... If we take a look at the 500 series of Atlas V, they have a load reactor up there. So check this out. See, that's called a CFLR right there, Centaur Forward Load Reactor. Atlas can withstand... See, it has a Centaur stage on top. But Atlas can withstand the loads here. And you can carry a heavier payload. The reason why is the load reactor. Basically, Centaur, the top of Centaur is being structurally tied to the cylindric part of the fairing, and that's holding it up. It's holding it up in place. So not all of your load is transmitting from the payload down Centaur down to your conic interstage adapter here, or your cylindric interstage adapter. Some of it gets transferred, some of your load gets transferred through the payload fairing. That allows you to have a balloon tank style structure, or balloon tank style upper stage with a heavy payload and not need to worry about popping the balloon, so to speak. See what I'm talking about? That's called a load reactor. There is another rocket that's being designed that uses a load reactor, a forward load reactor. At least in plan. Neutron supposedly will be using an FLR. Basically, your second stage is hanging inside of the payload fairing instead of being pushed up on. That allows you to make your second stage a lot lighter, because it doesn't need to withstand the force pushing up on it of the first stage, which makes way more thrust, right? So they're going to be using a load reactor with Neutron, hopefully. And once again, that allows you to save mass. In this particular case of like Atlas V, for instance, that's the forward load reactor is there not to squish the Centaur under a heavy satellite inside of the fairing. Centaur, like I said, uses balloon tanks. Balloon tanks can pop. Yeah, they pop like balloons. It's right in the name, if you're not careful. What if the tolerances like the welds and so on? Here, I'll show you. There's videos of ULA putting these things together. Here, check this out.
Production begins with aluminum sheets, expertly machined to remove more than 2/3 of the weight, resulting in the structurally strong yet lightweight ortho panels.
This is a Vulcan overview. I'll show you when it gets to the
Panels are then
parts.
bump pressed to form the curves required to complete the tanks. At the same time, rings, adapters, and other structural components are precision milled.
Very nice.
Next, the aluminum domes, panels, and other structures that form Vulcan's propellant tanks are first cleaned and etched to a smooth, even surface, and then anodized to harden and prevent corrosion.
Nice. Nice.
Following an ultrasonic inspection, 5 completed panels for the liquid methane tank are assembled and joined together.
I'll check that
using
out in a
friction
second.
stir welding. Unlike traditional welding, where filler material is used to join components, friction stir welding uses a head to stir the metal of the 2 panels together as it moves down the seam. The resulting joint is stronger and produces a lighter weight, higher performing tank. The process is repeated to create the liquid oxygen, or LOX tank, followed by attaching domes.
Drive on the toll road, feller.
Circumferential friction
Oh wait, that's
stir
not how you say
welding is
that.
then used to join the 2 propellant tanks that comprise the Vulcan booster. As production continues on the booster stage, stretch-forming gore panels for the Centaur's second stage.
Delby, you want to see how they make the Centaur dome? Watch this. You ever have leftovers in the kitchen? You take some like saran wrap and you stretch it over the top to get a cover for your leftovers, and then you put it in the fridge. You ever do that? No, never. Oh, well. What are leftovers? Of course. Watch the stainless steel panel.
Stage propellant tanks is underway.
Whoop! Leftovers? What are you, a quitter? I don't have leftovers, man. I don't do that unless I'm saving food for Brimo, and in which case, yes.
The stainless steel gore panels are welded together.
Play that again? Sure.
Production continues
Watch.
on the booster stage. Stretch-forming gore panels for the Centaur's second.
That right there, that little, very thin piece of stainless is the tank wall of the Centaur. It's that thin. When I say balloon tanks, I mean balloon tanks. Tank wall is as thin as a soda can, but it's made out of stainless. They stretch form it, just like you'd take cellophane wrap and you'd wrap it around something for leftovers, which apparently not a lot of you have. Watch, ready?
Tanks is underway.
Pretty cool, huh?
The stainless steel gore panels are welded together to create the propellant tank domes. The gore welder is one of several highly specialized
Now, you want to see how they weld this thing? You want to see the tolerances tall? Watch this.
welding stations in the Centaur production process. Just down the aisle, Centaur 5's
Pretty cool, huh? You see that little thing? That's how precise the welds are. You see that thing, the 5-axis welder that they have? Pretty cool, huh? I'm telling you, Centaurs are a work of art. It's unbelievable.
The gore welder is one of several highly specialized...
Dude, if you took a screwdriver to this thing and went like that, you'd punch a hole in it easily. It's, once again, it's about as thin as this, but made out of stainless. Why doesn't Starship have stir welding? Stainless steel is very difficult to stir weld, land game. It's difficult to stir weld because it's stainless. Aluminum is a little bit easier to stir weld because aluminum melts at a much lower temperature. All right? Now, that has a lot to do with it. Aluminum gets very jelly-like very, very easily. So with a stir welder, you don't need to generate that much heat to stir and mix the aluminum together. With stainless, you have to get it to a much higher temperature. And fluxing that much heat into the stainless with a weld is going to make it warp, especially when you're using a balloon tank. So with stainless, a TIG welding or tip welding is probably what you'd want to use. You need to keep the temperature low, but you also got to weld it together too. But how do you weld it together when stainless, if you have to heat it up, but if you put too much heat into it, it's just going to warp.
welding stations in the Centaur production process. Just down the
that little
aisle,
thing's doing all the welds.
Centaur 5's massive intermediate bulkhead is made.
There you go. There's your intermediate. They're calling it an intermediate. That's common bulkhead, basically. Was stir welding not a thing in the Apollo era? No. No, the Apollo tanks were welded by hand on a jig, dude. With a MIG welder. Or probably a TIG welder, if I had to guess. Because it's aluminum. You can MIG aluminum if you want, but you gotta worry about the heat. No. Friction stir welding came in the 80s. Yeah. Friction stir welding was first used in rocketry with the space shuttle external tank, believe it or not. Yep, ET. You know how much mass they saved by stir welding the external tank instead of TIG welding it? I don't know, probably like 1,000 to 2,000 pounds of weld, if I had to guess. That's just a guess, I don't know.
To its ultra-thin tank. Once both propellant tanks are welded, they're mated together to create the Centaur 5 second stage.
Yeah, baby. See, note that, check this out. When they're putting the tank together, when they're putting Centaur together, see how it has all this extra stuff attached to it? That's because the thing won't be able to stand up. If you just had the tank there, it would just fall over. See all the extra jigs that they have hooking it all together?
Is mated to its ultra-thin tank. Once both
and
propellant
then,
tanks are welded, they're mated together to create...
In this picture, the tanks are actually pressurized. That's why they can move the thing around. It's pressurized because the thing won't be able to stand up if it wasn't pressurized. It wouldn't work. They also don't want you seeing the aft shelf.
5 second stage. Before moving to final assembly, the 5.4 meter boost...
Is that the fuel line in the middle of the dome? Yep. It's called a downcomer. That's called an internal downcomer, zombie. And that's something that Vulcan has on the first and the second stage. Delta 4 has an external downcomer. The downcomer, the fuel line, or the oxidizer line goes out the side and out and down to the back. See, like that? That's an external downcomer. Vulcan has an internal on the first and second stage. See? 23. The oxidizer feed line. I'm guessing it's just air nitrogen used to pressurize things at this stage. I wouldn't use air, Noah. It's most likely nitrogen. Yeah. You don't want to put a reactive gas inside of there for risk of reacting with your stainless, right? I wouldn't put oxygen in there, that's for sure. I'd put nitrogen. Nitrogen's it's inert, right? Non-reactive. when the thing is flying, they use helium inside of the tanks when you're in flight. Why? Helium has less mass than nitrogen. If it's not rocket fuel, right? The more things you put on your rocket that aren't rocket fuel, the shorter it's going to go. Anyway, that's how Centaur gets put together. It's really trick stuff. Tori Bruno says they have one anomaly. And it was pretty serious. The coffee maker and launch control broke down. Fortunately, Alex, one of our rocket scientists, sprang into action and solved it in real time, allowing us to continue with the count. Thank you for showing me that. Really cool. It is cool. Coffee machine can't malfunction. That would be very bad. Right now, I'm running off of coffee. I'm running off of coffee, and when the caffeine runs out, I feel like I'm going to puke. But it's always a GSE issue, see? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? The freaking pad. I'm telling you, the pad... Rocket guy, you know. I know you know. Freaking pads are more complicated than the damn vehicle. It's ridiculous.
Booster welds are sprayed with foam insulation, followed by booster mask and paint. Twin BE4 engines are individually hot-fired.
Mock discs. Very nice. Oblique shocks. Very nice there, guy. You would collapse if there were no more pots. Yep.
Prior to making their way to the factory, they are
Hello.
then mated to Vulcan's thrust structure and protected by a heat shield.
See, this is the part we got to figure out.
With production complete.
Hey, look at that Atlas over there, just doing its thing.
Into Vulcan's thrust structure.
Hello. Was this launch the first time a BE-4 was in flight? Yep. Yep. Sea Kraken, Blue Origin. Blue Origin is the first company to have a methane-powered engine that got something into orbit in the U.S. The BE-4 got something into space before Raptor did. I don't know how to feel about that. Does that make them orbital? I guess with an asterisk, I suppose. Bong's like, it makes me feel great. I'm fine with this. You say it has flight heritage, yeah. I missed the where are my engines, Jeff. I think Jeff delivered on the engines, guys. Now IFT3 has more pressure to get to orbit? Nah, she good, man. It's fine. Thanks for the engines, Jeff. Yep, look at that thing. I'm gonna need more engines, Jeff. The Council of Jeffs are very happy.
My name is Jeff.
How many engines did ULA buy from Blue? Uh, 76. I can think of 76 off the top of my head. Currently, there are 144 on order. That's more than 76. 38 Vulcan flights, right? And then more on top of that. He said moron. I wonder if Jeff will go recover the engines from the seabed in the future. That would be really cool, Hell Hydra. Yeah, to get those back. Was that being made in Alabama? Yeah, Decatur, Tall. That's where ULA's facilities are. Atlas 5, Delta 4, Delta 2, all manufactured there. Delta 2 no longer. Delta 4 no longer. Atlas 5, a little bit. A little bit more. This is Indicator. It's up here by Huntsville. It's actually just to the west of Huntsville. It's over here. There's ULA right there. You can tell it's ULA because of the way it is. Yeah. Yep. Atlas, Delta, and Vulcan all made right there. ULA, believe it or not, expanded. They built something over here, too, pretty recently. We saw it on the cast last night. Let's see if it shows up. Yeah, see? They're grading. They built more facilities over here to be able to scale. The other thing, guys, is that Vulcan is reusable. Partially, just like Falcon 9. No, the first stage isn't going to land. Here. ULA on a previous Atlas mission prototyped a NASA technology called Lofted, which is an inflatable heat shield, like that. The Centaur 3 jettisoned Lofted, and then it went on a re-entry trajectory and landed out in the ocean, pioneering and testing inflatable heat shield technology. This is already something that launched into space, came back down, and is in remarkably good condition for a heat shield. Inflatable heat shields, because they're inflatable, are not ablative. They don't need to be. They have a low enough, a low enough ballistic coefficient. See that? Lofted. Right there. That thing was up in space and it came back down. ULA is going to use Lofted as a tech demonstrator to pioneer what's called smart reuse, where the back of the BE-4s are jettisoned off the back of Vulcan and they come down with a heat shield and they land with parachutes. Yep. You could say it was lofted into space. Oh. ULA is committed to doing this, guys. They're going to do it. In fact, the way Vulcan was made was designed. The way Vulcan was designed was to have a jettisonable engine section. The heat shields are not stainless tall. It's an inflatable, so it's polymer. It's like a bouncy castle almost, a very space-like bouncy castle. Excuse me. But yeah, that's what they're going to do. Also, Corvette for scale. Yep. Are you going to put that in my Vulcan design? Sure. Yeah, we could probably get away with it. I don't think I can do an inflatable heat shield just like that, because there is an inflatable heat shield in KSP, but it's not the right size, and it's a little bit big. No, it's just going to land out in the ocean, Denny. I could put a heat shield on it, though, dudes. We could do that. I could get away with it. We could just jettison it and have it heat shield back down. Is the separation of the tank done by pyrotechnics? Yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't know exactly. The details are still... Can I ask how ULA got access to the RL-10? Was that a thing from the merger, or was that a contract? Pratt & Whitney makes the RL-10s, and ULA buys them. Well, it was Pratt & Whitney. I'm not sure what it is now. I don't even know. Aerojet Rocketdyne. It's Aerojet Rocketdyne that does it. They're a subsidiary of L3 Harris Technologies. Yeah, they also make stuff like that. That thing's pretty cool. Propulsion is always the most expensive part, Papa Bear. Yeah. Propulsion's always the most expensive, by a long shot. The tanks are easy to make. You saw how those tanks were made. They're not that bad. It's milled aluminum in a brake. Pretty straightforward stuff, comparatively to the engine. The most expensive is actually the manufacturing line and facilities. Yeah, of course. Of course, but I'm talking about the actual components, not the things that make the components. Don't show those snazzy images on stream. People will get mad. Yeah. Here, how about that one? You ever wanted a picture that conveys the size of the Saturn V? There you go. Let me see, RJ. Beautiful. Also some KSP stuff in there. Very nice. Yep, those are big boy engines. Anyway. I want to get our Vulcan build done, but I think, yeah, here, let's get going. Von Braun was 6'2", if I'm remembering right, Biz. He's a pretty big dude. And that makes him look like he's 5'4", so that should tell you about the size of the Saturn. They're RS-25E, yeah. They're an expendable version of the shuttle motor. And then also RS-25Es have modern manufacturing techniques incorporated in. They're using the manufacturing techniques learned during the RS-68 to make those things. Standing next to the Saturn V on display at the Kennedy Space Center is amazing. Brian, I was down there 2 months ago. I've seen that Saturn V SA500F, so that's the Saturn V first stage that's there. It was, believe it or not, the test article. They outfitted it to look like a real one, though. I still get emotional around it. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. It's just, I just sit there and look at it. I can't stop looking. I stared at the trap ray. Same thing with the shuttle. It's mind-boggling, the stuff that we make. Very cool. Very cool stuff. I mean, yeah, you can ask Bree the last time I was there. I just sat there and looked at it and just went, wow, that's pretty neat. Anyway, we have our tank sizes here. We can at least get a little bit more scale done with our Vulcan build here. So, let's go. For the stripes, won't you need custom flags since you're making a non-Kerbal diameter tank? Well, for using 3.7, it's not going to be that big of a deal now, is it? That's a gigantic engine section, huh? Okay, there's got to be an aft skirt down there. Okay. So let me just kind of block some stuff out. So the front of the SRBs need to be at the common bulkhead, which is basically right there. That's not a big deal. All right. Oh, excuse me. I feel like I'm gonna puke, guys. That whole staying up till 5 in the morning didn't really do me any favors. Okay. All right, so let's just say we're gonna use skippers, just, you know, because I'll just use these for the block. I'm kind of just mapping out where all the components need to be. Damn. Are the RS-25s the most powerful liquid fuel engine we have in operation? Yes. I mean, yeah, give or take. 2,400 kilonewtons of thrust at 412 seconds specific impulse. That's... Liquid fuel engines, yeah, that's the most powerful. The most powerful rocket engine that the U.S. has in operation right now are the SLS SRBs. They produce 14 meganewtons of thrust each. Let me put that a little bit into perspective. We denoted that Vulcan Centaur VC6 with 6 SRBs produces about 17 meganewtons of thrust. That's with 6 SRBs, 2 BE4s. One SRB produces 14 meganewtons of thrust by itself. One SRB on SLS produces almost as much thrust as Vulcan Centaur. It produces 0.4, well, it produces more thrust than a Falcon 9. Actually, 2 Falcon 9s is what you'd need to, well, 1.5 Falcon 9s is what you'd need to equate the 5-segment SRB out to anything. Yeah, like if you wanted a 1-to-1. Falcon 9 produces about 10 meganewtons of thrust. You'd need 1.5, give or take. Yeah. In terms of strongest liquid fuel engines, the BE4, Raptor, and the shuttle engine all produce around 2,400 kilonewtons of thrust, give or take. Raptor could be stretched more, and so could BE4. But the problem with those is that you're really getting to your theoretical maximums for methalox there, around 2,400 kilonewtons of thrust. Well, actually, that's 380 second specific impulse. That's your limit. You could make a more powerful engine. It's just... It's kind of like... the reason why they're all kind of similar is, think about... It's kind of convergent design in this case. They're all kind of similar for the same reason why cars have 4 wheels. Most cars have 4 wheels. Could you make a car with 3 wheels? Yes. Could you make that 3-wheeled plastic car into a space shuttle? Oh, yeah. Yeah. You didn't think I'd make that connection, but we did. I would think they could go for some sort of landing on the first flight, since it's built into the design. I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, the shuttle, Raptor, and V4 are the most powerful. Yeah. I mean, the RD-180 on Atlas V does produce a little bit. It produces 4,000 kilonewtons of thrust. So that's the most powerful one that we operate, but not US made. RD-180s are insane. Very, very good motor. Yeah, I'm not really afraid to kind of say that, because stats are stats, you know. I need to check something. Just give me one moment.
6, 5, 4, 3. We have ignition. And liftoff of the first.
Can I just oh, yeah, that's not the exact part that I was looking for. I need that business end shot right here. That's what I'm looking for. Give me that picture. Let's put that over here with our other ones. Yeah, okay. Does it tilt right away? Yeah, it did, Grizz. We're not sure if that was a pad avoidance maneuver or if that was not warranted operation. I'm not entirely sure if ULA would say that that wasn't supposed to happen. I'm pretty sure that that's just a pad avoidance maneuver. Slewing off the pad like that isn't anything new. I just wasn't expecting Vulcan to do it. What's the puffy material at the top of the motors? Those are thermal blankets, Dimit. That's to make sure that none of the fire goes up inside of the engine compartment. But the motors need to turn. You have thrust vector control on your 2 BE4s, so the 2 BE4s need to be able to move around. So they put a blanket there instead of like a solid thing, because if it was solid, the motor the nozzle wouldn't be able to turn. So you have to have a little bit of play there, so the nozzles can. They have to be able to wiggle. What I'm looking at here is just the engine section. I've noticed something about Vulcan. The engine section is extremely long. Like, we're using some approximated proportions here, but she's still... Like, the thing is held to the pad, like, up here somewhere. Which is interesting to me. Yeah, there's a whole long engine section back there with the motors inside of it. You can even see it here in this poster. We have 5, 10, 15, 20, basically 25 feet of engine section. And the SRBs are attached. The SRBs are attached on the thrust structure up here. See that ridged part? That is an aft skirt on the bottom of your fuel tank there. I think it's the fuel tank. Hold on, let me go check. Yeah, on the LNG tank, there's an aft skirt there. That's a structural piece to be able to withstand the load of the engines pushing up on the vehicle. See this structural piece right there? And then there's another piece behind that. And that's where your 4 hold down points are. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it looks like your fueling umbilicals are up in there too. Interesting. This is a really nice design. It's very clean. Very clean. Very simple. Space for the recovery system. Nader, that would be my guess. I've seen pictures around of not Blue Origins. I've seen pictures around of ULA's thrust structure down here. It is weird looking. I said it when we first saw it. ULA posted a video a long time ago of them mating BE4s to the thrust structure and then putting that on the bottom of their Vulcan test article. That thing looked really strange. Not like any thrust structure I've ever seen. Basically, the entire thrust structure is being held in with 4 primary carrier bolts. Dude, it is weird looking. Yeah, you have like, there's a crossbar, right? And the 2 engines are mounted to the crossbar. And then there's 2 legs that come off the end of the crossbar. And then there's just bolts that hold, there's 4 like main structural bolts that hold that in place. Dude, I'm telling you, it's the strangest thrust structure I've ever seen. My guess is that, yeah, it's designed to be jettison, and it is. That was my guess at the time. Because at the time when that video came out, we didn't know if Vulcan was going for smart reuse. ULA hadn't confirmed it until Amazon bought all those launches, right? But I looked at that thrust structure, I'm like, there's no way. That has to be able to be jettisoned like that. No one makes a thrust structure that has 4 primary structural bolts that hold it together. I mean, and these bolts were chunky too. I mean, we might be able to find that video here. Like, I might be able to find it somewhere. The thing is that when they showed this in this video, right? They showed putting that thing together with the BE4s over here, right? And they blurred it. But there's other videos that they have on their YouTube channel where they don't, which is weird. There's a Geranthum video in there. Nice. Here, let's see. Maybe the non-blurred versions are older iterations. It's possible. How screwed is the lander? Well, they got power to it. That's from 7 months ago. Booster painting. This is a 41-minute thing on developing Vulcan Centaur. There's Tori. He's doing his thing. Yeah, he's talking about RL10 and evolution there. This is from a little while ago. Yeah. No, it's definitely not there. That's them milling the plates for it. Yeah, watch this thing. Damn, that thing is cool. It's hypnotizing. Yeah, that's not it. I'd have to go figure it out. No, this is a what is it? 1, 2, 3. It's a 3-axis CNC machine. 3-axis CNC. It's milling the iso grid into the aluminum plate. They start with really, really thick aluminum plates. You want it thick. And then they mill the thing in. The plates are all billet, dude. It's pretty wild. If you know anything about fabrication, I'm trying to find it. Yeah, we could just go into the overview. See, those are the thick sheets of aluminum. We're talking like pretty damn thick. Right? Is it this one? I don't know, let me check. Oh yeah, that one will do. And then see, they mill it out with this huge Cincinnati CNC machine. See? And then they put it through a gigantic metal brake to get it to curve. But look at it, it's all billet, man. That's really, really nice. Hey, Hockey Tom. That's the picture, yeah. Hell Hydra, thank you for finding that. Here. Nader, check this out, buddy. So, see what I mean? There's some sideways stabilizer bars, but look, there's that crossbar that I was talking about right there. See? There's that crossbar, and then it has these two there's like two bars that go up to the sides, and those are held in with just one bolt. See what I'm talking about? 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. And then there's these side pieces here too. I forgot about those. That's probably for triangulation so this thing doesn't skitch around. But the whole point is that subassembly looks like it pops off the back. That, like, it looks like it. Which is just bananas to me. Why do they have to go from thick plates? It looks like a big waste. Well, milling the structure right into it, J Heels, is believe it or not, that makes it easier to manufacture. You're milling the structure it. If you just had like a flat plate and you just put the flat plates into the brake, the flat plates can do this. Milling that grid into it actually makes it way stronger, right? You're milling that ortho grid into it. Now, you said it looks wasteful. Aluminum is 100% recyclable. So, yeah, they just take the aluminum scraps and send them back to the aluminum plant, and they'll just make more sheets with it, with the excess. Aluminum, like I said, aluminum is super, super recyclable. Like, it's 100% recyclable. You could just reuse it. Yeah, so the process, the subtractive manufacturing that they're using, so milling out all that stuff, does create a lot of aluminum chunks. But that doesn't get thrown in the trash. They put it into a bin and send the bin back to the aluminum plant. Oh yeah, it's super recyclable, dude. In fact, most of the aluminum that's in circulation in our civilization was mined years ago. We don't really mine for it much because it's so recyclable. Yeah, if you have an aluminum mine, right, you're not going to mine for it much because you'll flood the market, right? So, Yeah, aluminum's super recyclable, so don't worry about waste. That's not a big deal. They'll just they take those the chunks and they just send them back and they make more sheets out of them. Yep. Yeah, I know. It looks like they're wasting a lot there, but they're not. Aluminum is, once again, all that is just going to be sent back to the factory, sent back to the aluminum foundry, and just made into more sheets, dude. 95% cheaper to recycle than to make new. Yep. The getting it out of the ground part is tough, but yeah, it's really cool. Not a lot of people know that. I mean, because, yeah, you look at this process and you're like, what the hell? What's with all of this? Look at all the chunks. Yeah, that's all going to get... That's probably already been made into more sheets. Good question, though, dude. Oh, look at that. See, this, they put the structure right in. The structure is built right in. So instead of welding something to this, right, like welding in, you know, these stringers in, right, they're just milled right into it. It's really, really cool. The ULA launch photos are up. Cool. Sorry, this just turned into a discussion about Vulcan, guys. We'll get more into it in a second, but I'm like starting to not feel good. But oh, hello. That's awesome. Waste was more about the energy cost more than material. Ah, I got you, man. Yeah, I got you. I don't know. I don't know. I can't speak to the energy cost, but yeah, maybe. Yeah, Rocket Guy, I wish. They use a brake to bend it. A gigantic metal brake in Velcro. Yeah, really, really cool stuff. That's how they make the sheets concave. That thing is milling out a ring right there. That's a bulkhead. They make the bulkheads on jigs. They're a huge, like, inverted jig that they put the panels in. That's an internal baffle right there, I think. And then, yeah, see, then they take the plates and they put it in a vertical friction stir welder. Hello. Yeah, Rocky Guy. Lofted for SLS would be a really cool idea. Yeah, that safety punk hip, right? Like when we played Satisfactory. I'm glad the parts that make it work are smaller than this. Yeah, right? You're really on another scale here. Anyway. How many of these do you think they make in that building a year? They're going to be scaling up, damn it. Yeah, they're going to be scaling up because in the coming year, there's like 70 Vulcan launches over the next like 5 years. So, I mean, you can do the math out pretty easily then, right? Found the photo you were looking for. You got it? Oh, yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you for doing the digging. I appreciate it. Look at that. Look at the engine structure without anything on it. See what I'm talking about? That's a weird thrust structure if I've ever seen one. But look. See? Just a couple of bolts holding it together. That's designed to be separated, man. Yeah. Or easy to... It could be also designed to be easily put together. What do you think about Vulcan with Falcon 9 as boosters? What? I didn't really think about that. That'd be kind of neat, but... Yeah, see these bolts? Just look at those things. That's designed to be separated, man. At least, I don't know. I mean, what the heck do I know? Kind of looks like it though. And see, there's like kind of a compartment up here for a heat shield. See the open space that they have in front of the engine mount? They left space right there. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's going to be pipes in those. There's pipes in those spaces, but there's also a bunch of room for things. If you're gonna spew into this, really feel like I'm gonna blow chunks. But yeah. We'll you know what, fellas? Because of the lateness last night, I'm gonna get some rest so I can give this my best tomorrow. What do you guys want to build out with our Vulcan build? Do we want to just build Vulcan Centaur? Or do we want to build a pad with it? I could build out the pad for it, sure. I think we should start with building Vulcan Centaur and maybe incorporate smart reuse and then figure out a way to put that all back together. Stupid question, is there any way to control the burn rate of a solid rocket motor? Cal controller. In Kerbal. In real life, it's how you physically pack the fuel inside of it, Rain. Just the MLP is fine. We don't need the whole pad. Why not Dream Chaser? That's the next payload for Vulcan. Okay. Alright, Ibis. Good to catch you on the day off. Right on, man. I'm just... Yeah, because I did not get much sleep. And the sleep that I did get wasn't good. And I feel like I'm going to blow chunks. And you know what, man? Like, I could probably try to power through it. I don't want to do that on stream. One of my rules for streaming, when I started doing this a decade ago, was to never blow chunks on stream. Never blow chunks and never fall asleep. Okay? Those are my 2 rules. I have never done it. I came close on New Year's, though. A couple of times. Never blow chunks on stream and never fall asleep. So, yeah. Guys, I think we'll spend the rest of the week building out this Vulcan vehicle. I'll use it to get my feet wet back into KSP1. Yeah, we'll do it, man. And then we can learn about Vulcan. You guys can learn about it and how it's all put together and stuff. We'll make it pretty cool. Bread mo. Yeah, that bread just ended up coming right back up, Shaw. It really didn't absorb anything. Yeah, Yarg fell asleep once. I remember that. Hazanka's like, yeah, I've done both. So, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed talking about Vulcan, but I'm kind of psyched about this build. Let's jump back into KSP and do some precision. I'll show you what I mean about building really complicated stuff in Kerbal and how we'd go about doing it. Yeah, Bob, I'm trying to not push it because, yeah, I've been lately, you know. Predominant fell asleep on stream before, too. Yep, that's my one rule, Dink. Never fall asleep on stream. And you've been here, you know. I've never done it. Ever. Because frick that. Anyway, I know I've been kind of dipping out from streams early lately, dudes. But, yeah, I'm just... lately, I'm just trying to make sure I don't break any of my rules. So anyway, I'll see you guys around tomorrow. We'll keep going with our Vulcan KSP1 build, and we'll build out everything with it. We'll build the launcher too. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys appreciated it. I'll see you guys tomorrow at noontime. We'll hit it guns blazing. And when I get a good night of sleep, we'll jump in and we'll do it right. So good night, everybody. I hope you enjoyed Vulcan. I'll see you guys tomorrow. You had it already, Yarg. I don't feel good. I feel like I'm gonna blow chunks. So I'll see you guys tomorrow then. Okay. Good night. Get some electrolytes. Yeah, I will. Night, dudes.